Oh my God. Wait a second. Wait 1 second.
What?
That's a word that you're allowed to say on morning radio.
The Mercedes-Benz Interview Lounge.
Oh, hi. I didn't know we were back. Hi.
Hi.
Chelsea Handler's here. I'm so excited about this.
Yes, I'm here.
Now remember.
Estoy aquí.
Now remember, if you use any language.
I know, Elvis.
Wait,
I know.
here's
don't
the
make
dump
me
button.
start with the language.
Here's the dump button. You have to push it yourself.
I think you think I'm a little remedial or
Not at
slow
all.
on the uptake because he said not to use the words boom boom and boom boom in the morning. One rhymes with pluck.
I will tell you, Chelsea, people become so comfortable in that chair, sometimes they forget. You know,
I know. You're
who
such
was
a
it?
good host,
It
though.
was
That's a reflection of your hosting abilities.
It was Cedric the Entertainer. Take
Yes.
your
Oh,
purse
It's okay.
off.
No. I need my purse on. Okay.
She forgot to put her purse down.
Okay, I'm not
She's
going
in
to ask
a
why.
hurry. She's leaving.
It was Cedric the
I'm
Entertainer.
Jewish. I don't want to let any money go.
Cedric the Entertainer sat there. We made him push his own button. I said, you're going to run out of delay time.
No. I'm an adult and I'm mature, so I understand what the rules are and parameters are for early morning radio.
all right.
Thank you for going over them with
so
me.
excited.
So this is Gandhi.
Hello.
Hi,
I love
Gandhi.
you.
Hi.
This is Danielle.
Hi, Danielle. How are you?
Froggy's up there in that screen.
Okay, where? Okay, Froggy. Is he does he have COVID? Is that why he's in a different room?
That's still a thing or no?
Oh, okay.
Well, I'm not going to say where he is because I'm afraid it's going to go down that road.
Oh, really?
He is in the state of Florida.
Oh.
Damn happy to be here.
I thought we were discontinuing Florida.
No, not at all.
Nope.
Not at all.
That's
Anyway,
the only place I'm not going on my tour. I'm not going to Florida because even though it will make a huge impact economically, I feel like in this culture, well, in this world that we live in, the only impact you can make economically is economic, that anyone cares about. So I'm not going back to Florida because of, what?
But Chelsea, there are a lot of people who live in Florida.
I know. I
who
love
are-
my Floridian fans. Believe
cool.
me, I have relatives. My rabbi lives in Florida, so I can't ever see him again.
I will tell you, after 6 years off the road, you decided to come back, do it again, and you're playing exciting places like Red Rocks. And she did
fun.
stand up at Graceland.
I did.
awesome.
I did.
That's so cool.
First, I did Red Rocks, you guys, on this tour, this new little tour. Can I say the name of the tour?
Absolutely.
Okay, Little Big Bitch.
Okay.
And because it shows the story from when I was born, I was a little bitch, and now I'm a big one. And it shows that I've always been the same person. I tell a lot of my childhood antics. Anyway, I performed at Red Rocks, which was so legendary. I have never been there before. So my first time was on stage, and it was pouring. And it was pouring all day, and the entire audience waited in the rain, and then I performed in the rain. So it was very electric. I came home that night. I was lying in bed. I'm like, this is one of those nights that was like really memorable in my life and my career. And then I just thought, thank God no one's lying in this bed next to me.
Isn't it great to come home after a gig and go, this is my
celebrate
band?
alone. Yes, yes.
Well, Red Rocks, what a beautiful place to see a show. I can't imagine being in a show. But going to Graceland.
Yeah.
And I didn't know they had shows at Graceland.
Me neither. I didn't even know I was performing there until the day of. I was like, where are we headed today, guys? And they're like, Graceland. And I was like, oh. And so then we got a private tour of his house. And then Lisa Marie Presley's casket is there.
Wow.
So it was pretty cool. I was much more into it than I thought I would be. And then we ended up going to Dollywood at the end of that weekend.
How was that?
Yes.
Less exciting.
Wait, did you ride any of the rides?
No, I'm not. I'm 40s. Like I have 48 to be exact.
Okay.
I don't need to be on rides anymore. And I don't want a giant turkey leg. It's basically like going to Disneyland, but less than Disneyland.
I must counter this, Chelsea. I think now more than ever you need to ride on rides, and you need a big-ass turkey leg. Think about it. Don't get back to me now.
Okay.
If you listen to Chelsea and your co-host producer, I had her name a second ago. I don't know.
Wait. I want to. Well, I'll let you run the interview since it's your show.
No, you run it.
I was just going to talk about my New York dates because I wanted to plug my New York dates, but you're probably getting to that.
I am. That's exactly what's on my list.
Okay, but I digress.
So you do this incredible podcast. You can hear it on the iHeart Network as well.
Dear Chelsea, it's
Dear
called.
Chelsea.
It's like Dear Abby, but for people our age or younger, actually. A lot of questioning people.
And the thing is you are such a fantastic interviewer. And I hadn't really seen you in the interview chair since the show and since TV, right? And you are just really great at getting to the heart of the matter. And, of course, always letting everyone know how you feel about what they're saying. And that's so important.
Yeah. I thought it was going to be like a silly podcast because, everyone has a podcast, as we know. And I thought it was going to be like, I wanted to go back to the days of Dear Abby because I loved that. Mm-hmm. I just love interpersonal affairs and like what's going on with people and breakups and cheating and family drama. Like, I love that stuff. And so I thought it was going to be like light and, silly. And then it became kind of, sometimes we get really serious calls and people's lives change because I kind of use it to give people just a kind of kick in the ass, get them to the next step. Like a lot of people are fearful of just grabbing life by the balls and making that move. Don't worry, I'm not going to say the word that rhymes with pluck. He's heard ass and bitch and he's like, oh no, what's next?
And I like balls is just fine. I'm good with big bouncy balls.
Anyway, it's been really fun. I love my podcast and it's been a huge success. We got tons of listeners. So I'm happy to be doing it. And I get to give advice to people and kind of, I use my therapy and I just put it back out in the world.
Has anything ever come through where you said, oh my gosh, we can't touch that subject?
Well, we had this guy. No, of course not, because it's me. And I'm not like appropriate to talk about certain things, but I'll do it anyway. Okay. I just pretend I'm a practicing physician with no license or one that's at least been revoked. But no, we had a guy on that was like, he was smoking too much pot. And I told him, I was like, he was living with these roommates. And I said, just change it up. Just take a 30-day break. Like, get your head clear and see, what you're hiding from. If you're abusing something so much, obviously something's, bothering you. And at the end of it, he realized, he hadn't come out to his parents. He went and came out to his parents. He moved out from his roommates and he's living his life fully now.
Wow.
And so that was like a real meaningful moment for it. So it's been, it's been fun. I mean, obviously we have silly things, but we do have more serious things.
Have you ever given somebody advice that you then, after you gave it to them, thought, oh, damn, maybe I should change that, call them back and fix it?
No. I don't really look in the rearview mirror. I mean, that's not really my personality.
Okay.
I'm all about moving ahead. But we do get follow-up calls, and people are like, "Oh yeah, I told my mother this is my boundary. I told my father that he can't, judge me on this." So people do make moves on it, and then I'm sure their families are very. I'm sure we've broken up plenty of relationships. I take a lot of pride in that.
You know what? It just sounds great. There's a great energy to it. By the way, it's called Dear Chelsea, and you can get it wherever the podcasts are. We have a podcast. We have several podcasts here. Scotty B in that room over there, he has one called Serial Killers, where he and his friend, all they do is rate new breakfast cereals. Hello. Yeah, see?
That's a whole podcast?
It is.
How long can that take? How many new cereals are out each day?
They just keep coming. We have like 300 episodes already.
And they'll do old school cereals from like when you're a kid, like how Captain Crunch would like rip up the roof of your mouth.
Captain Crunch was great.
All right, so I mean, you can have a podcast about anything. The great thing about podcasts is you can be very narrow and deep. You can go as deep as you want on spark plugs, and that's it. That's all you're
people
talking
love
about.
murder too. That seems
love
to be,
murder.
I love talking about murder, investigative murder.
Yeah.
I went to bed last night. I watched a murder mystery, and I was like, oh, I love being in bed in a hotel room watching murder. And then I'm like, go to bed, and then you dream about the murder, the whole night, and you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't watch that before I go to sleep. But it's too complicated to enter my Netflix passcode at every hotel room. You know what I mean? I'm so over it. I'd rather just sit and look at the wall.
So going back to what you said earlier, I so agree. After a hard day at work, after a hard day on a stage, going back to a hotel room, and that's a life that stand-up people know, it's you. And you can easily go out with the crew and your friends and just get really messed up and twisted and whatever. But to go back and just like reset.
I know. It's a lot of, this weekend I have like Waterloo and Atlantic City. And I was just in Syracuse because I was filming a movie playing the mother, by the way, you guys, to a South Korean boy. That wasn't explained in the script. So I guess biologically I'm the mother of a South Korean boy without any questions. That's the world we're living in now.
Okay.
I was like, oh, hello. They were like, oh, this is your son. And I started laughing. And then they were like, no, this is your son in the movie. And I said, oh. Okay, great.
No setup at all?
I'm like, are we explaining how I got him? Or is it supposed to be believable that I gave birth to a South Korean boy?
Anything's possible in Syracuse.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, we're on there right now, by the way.
Oh, we are. Hello, Syracuse. I loved being there. I'll see you again this weekend.
Talk about your New York dates.
Oh, okay. So I have a fun date. August 26th at the Clubhouse in East Hampton. I've never performed there. That's a nice intimate show. So those are on sale. And then I have 2 shows at the Beacon on September 28th and September 29th.
You know what's kind of cool watching your time out on the road is you are adding dates in cities. You're doing, rather than one, you're doing 2 nights. So I mean, obviously someone somewhere likes you, Chelsea.
Somewhere. Yeah, we just have to find out where. Where are those places, Elvis?
You know, Gandhi brought me something earlier. I want to play. We kind of played with it earlier this morning. Do we have the sound? Oh, there was a guy on some show talking about how if you're a woman and you're in your 40s and you haven't had kids, you've missed the point of life. Remember this?
Yeah, do I remember? It's my daily life.
And when you hear her answer, and I want you to follow up after we play it back. When you hear her answer, you'll hear the gurgling sound of a bottle of Tito's going into a tumbler and saying everything's okay.
Belvedere. I don't drink Tito's.
Why not? Okay, well. All right, which one do
you guys know how to play recordings here?
Yeah. Not always.
Each new day's a clean slate. I think it's these right here. All right,
you start from scratch every day.
Move the buttons.
You laugh. I hear you. Okay, I think this is the one.
45% of working women
this is the guy.
ages 25 to 45 by 2030 will be non-married, no kids, single.
I'll tell you what's wrong with that. Nothing. I usually don't do things like this, but when I have to listen to men talk like that, I have no choice but to sedate myself with drugs and alcohol. Lately, I've been loud and proud about my status as a single, unmarried, childless, wild woman. And apparently some men cannot handle that. Every time I go on Instagram, I stumble upon SDE morons like this guy pontificating about how unhappy women like me must be.
It gets better. Here we go. Here we go. How do you do this? Here we go.
You think that you're going to be 45 years old, no kids, not married, and that you're going to genuinely be fulfilled in life because you made money? Best of luck to you, honey.
Right.
No, best of luck to you, honey. I'm sorry, but if the child-free joyride I'm on triggers you, here's a hint. If you need daily alpha content to remind you to be alpha, you might not be an alpha. Take it from an alpha.
Do you hear this a lot? Is this really a thing?
Yeah.
Because I'm an old guy. I don't hear things like that.
When I hosted The Daily Show, that's what started it off, because I did this video about what you can get done in a day without a child. And it was like, I went to Paris for lunch. I went and hiked Machu Picchu and then I was home by dinner, just in time to have sex with somebody from Tinder. And so, and the men's reaction, these conservative men's reaction to that is so funny. Like the way that they freak out about a woman there's no way she can be happy. There's no way that I'm like, first of all, no one said I was happy. I'm just showing you what I'm doing. So obviously it looks happy to you. And stop telling women that they can, be boss girls. It's like, why is it threatening to a man? Why do you care if I don't want a child? And why are you trying to convince me that I don't like my life when I clearly like it?
Right.
And so there's this whole movement of conservative men, of course, just to, keep women having babies and so, subjugating us so that we can't live our lives. But sorry, the cat's out of the bag. There are too many women who are embracing the idea of not getting married, not having children, making your own money, and doing whatever the pluck you want. Did you like that one?
Yes, I did. But on the other side, I mean, you have friends who have kids and their lives are just swimmingly fantastic.
Or not. Or they hate being... Listen, not a lot of people hate being parents, but it is a very, very stressful situation for a long duration of time. You don't just get them for 5 years, you get them for 18 years. So if you don't think that that's your skill set, being a parent, that is a valuable thing to learn about yourself and embrace. And I know that's not my skill set.
And that's good to recognize.
And
Danielle, for instance, her son just graduated high school, about to go to college.
Yep.
Well, hopefully you'll never hear from him again.
No. Please do not say that. I'm having emotional breakdowns every day.
Chelsea,
Please.
that's awful.
I still have another one at home, though. But I was saying earlier that it's not for everyone. And if there is someone who doesn't think, like you said, can handle it, Why would you want them to have a child?
Exactly. There are too many damaged, traumatized children in this world.
Right.
Look at the world we're bringing them into. We can't even get, control of guns in this country. We're sending children to school. Like, no, I want protection for children. I want to fight for the rights of children. I don't want them, and I don't want anyone else to not have to have them, but I think it's very important as a woman to understand what your strengths and weaknesses are. And my weakness is children. I don't have a tolerance for them. I don't find them interesting. I want them to grow up.
But you have some friends that have a couple of cool kids. There's obviously cool kids in your friends' lives.
Oh, right? I have 8 nieces and nephews. I crush that role.
Okay.
Because you can give them back at the end of the day.
I can give them edibles also to calm them down and lessen their opinions. And I'm very good. I'm very good with children. You'd be surprised. People are always like, oh my God, you'd be such a great mom. I'm like, just because I'm being nice to a child right now does not mean I'd make a good mother.
Right.
Wait, hold on.
There's a delineation there.
My favorite line of the day, and I listen to their opinions.
It's like as soon as their opinions start popping off, I'm like, here, why don't you take this? Because I'm no longer interested in hearing.
Oh my gosh.
And people have no problem throwing that at women who don't want children or who are single. But if you did it the other way around, it would be crazy, right? Like if you looked at somebody who just had a baby and you were like, oh, you are going to be miserable.
Yes.
I hope you enjoy that. You've made a choice. You cannot go back on it. That would be insane. And it's just crazy how people throw all these things at single women. I'm the same as you. I don't want to have children. I don't want to get married. It just doesn't seem like something for me. I don't judge anybody else for their choices. But when it comes back at me in the other way, I'm like, what is wrong with you?
And also, no one talks to men like this. If a man is single without a child, nobody's like, when are you having a baby? Like,
you're a playboy.
And also, the idea of men commenting on what women should do based on their involvement and participation in raising a child, birthing a baby, breastfeeding a baby, and then raising it and spending time with it, your opinion is invalid. It is completely invalid. You don't get to tell us about it at all because you're not participating in the same way.
Well, so Nate was shaking his head. Obviously, there's pressure for you to have a baby.
There's definitely.
Nate, just shut up, Nate. Please don't even. Please. What are you going to say?
Okay. All right. It's not apples to apples, right? But there's definitely some people, this person right here, who when you're in a relationship, a committed relationship with someone, she'll look at you and say, so when are you and blank having kids?
Because she has kids.
Exactly.
That's where she's coming from.
Exactly.
Right.
Thank you, Chelsea.
Yeah, it's not absolutely. I mean, it's an unoriginal question because where people get bored and you're dating somebody and they're like, when are you getting engaged? When are you getting married? I'm like, hopefully never, because I'd like to keep this going. You know what I mean? To me, marriage represents the end of fun. For other people, it represents the beginning of a lifetime. So you just have to figure out what your compartment is.
Amen.
And not impress your opinions on others. I'm not trying to convince other women not to procreate. I'm just saying, hey, think about it in a responsible way. It might not be the best use of your time.
My grandmother bought me a cake topper of a bride and groom before I was even anywhere near being engaged. And I go, Grandma, I don't understand. She's like, I'm just hoping before I drop dead, maybe you'll get married.
There is that.
I was like, what the hell?
And what's my advice to newlyweds when people start pressuring them to have children? What are you supposed to say to Grandma?
Oh.
Well, we would, but we only like anal.
Oh my God. Wait a second. Wait 1 second.
What?
That's a word that you're allowed to say on morning radio.
You can
say anal.
You can say penis.
I was going to say, a great way not to get pregnant is by doing it in the tushy. And I was going to use my little Jewish Hebrew.
I know.
Substitute words. And then Elvis Duran whips out anal.
Sounds like a mom.
What, is it even 10 o'clock?
No, the problem is this.
You don't talk about anal before 10 o'clock.
You're ruining it. The reason why you can get away with it is you move on.
Right.
You don't stop and
How many times can you say it in a row?
No.
I'm not saying it anymore.
You can use the word tuchus.
Tushy.
The word tushy is a mom word.
Okay.
You can't use tushy.
Tushy. Well,
Switching gears with the Chelsea Handler interview, back to something we were talking about earlier, and that was your great ability to interview people. I brought, at the top of the show today, I brought up to Danielle and Gandhi the concept of friends that are great interviewers, but you don't realize you're being interviewed until halfway through just a friendly conversation.
Yes.
Don't you have people, and maybe you're one of these people, who you can sit down with someone at dinner, no cameras, no microphones, and just start this conversation, this back and forth, where you rally back and forth. It turns into what sounds like an award-winning interview. But it's just a friendship. It's a conversation. Storytelling is something you're a master at doing as well. And so I'm challenging each and every person listening to this, next time you're out with someone, Freshen it up. Talk about something different.
Different, yeah.
Ask them about something
Right.
and how it affects them, and see where it goes. I love that about you and your interviews. I think we should all be like that when there's no media involved, no component.
Yeah, I think it's important to also listen as an interviewer or as a person. Listening is, I guess, seems to be a little bit of a lost skill because we're also kind of consumed with our phones and distracted, and we're all kind of ADHD right now. We're living in that world. So I really take a lot of pride in reading as many books as possible. I read about 4 books at the same time, all the time. I'm always reading books, and to try and minimize my amount of time on social media because it's so mindless. I mean, how many times a day do you pick up your phone and you don't even know that you pressed anything, and then you're just looking, and it's I feel so dumb when that if I spend too much time on Instagram. So I think the art of conversation has been lost really due to social media and all the stuff that we're exposed to. So it's nice to kind of engage with somebody, sit down at a dinner, put your phone away for 2 hours if you can make it if you can make it 2 hours.
Scary, can you? I can't even make it 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
He's obsessed. He's a man obsessed.
Oh my God, he breaks out in hives.
Yeah. Oh God.
Well, Chelsea, having you here is just a great moment. And
I don't want to leave.
Well, I don't want you to leave.
I just want to be with you.
They're gonna fire us all anyway.
Well, but who broke the rule? You did it.
I
you
did.
said it.
No,
you said the worst thing that you could say.
I did not. I did not. I have a crafty way of getting out of it, but you guys.
I just want to say on that note, I'm not going to say the word again, but I want to say tushy sex is not just for gay guys anymore. Everybody, okay?
I agree.
It's
Amen.
trending, so don't knock it until you try
It's trending.
It's trending. It used to just be for Mormons and quote unquote virgins, and now everybody's doing it.
Okay. Agreed. All in favor say aye. All right. The Little Big Bitch Tour is on. If you go to chelseahandler.com, I do believe that's correct, right? You can find out when she's coming to town, or you can warn your friends if they're going to her town.
Yes.
And of course, Dear Chelsea is the podcast, which I'm loving, and it's so great having you here. I want you to come back. Would you?
I will always. I love coming here.
All
Thank
right.
you guys.
What, Chelsea Handler.
Yay! That was fun.
All right, hold on. What button do we push? I don't know what to do.
Why do you act like you've never been here before?
This
is so weird.
Chelsea, push your own button. Push a button. You want to hit this button? No, just push the button.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
The Mercedes-Benz Interview Lounge.